What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and on this channel, we break down the trials and cases you care most about so you can understand how the American civil and criminal justice system works. And we try to make sure you understand what your rights are in every situation, which is why we try to walk you through the entire legal process while also answering your insightful questions along the way. And while it's not legal advice, it's always exciting. So buckle up for another episode of The Lawyer You Know. All right. What's up, everybody? We have some breaking news here. We're not breaking it, but we're discussing it. Alec Baldwin, formally charged not too long ago with involuntary manslaughter of Helena Hutchins on the set of the movie Rust. And all those charges are going to be dismissed, dropped, gone, no plea deal, no jail time, nothing, nada, finito. This is really interesting because this is a case that was not a jump to conclusions kind of case. They took their time. They did their investigation. They made this decision. They went on and did a press conference. We did videos on all this. Go back and listen to what I said when they did that stuff. I was like, wow, they are confident because they know Baldwin is going to have the best attorneys in the world. He's going to spend all the money it takes to clear his name. He has been adamant from the jump. Even if he's a difficult client to control and went out and tried to prove himself innocent, and I actually think that doing that interview made life more difficult for him and may have added fuel to the fire in bringing these charges. But those charges are all gone. And if we just think about, and we're going to put an article up on the screen and read it because I think it does a good job of kind of going through the timeline and how embarrassing this was for the DA. From the jump, they had a gun enhancement that was bad law and was gone. They had a special appointed prosecutor that was gone because of her political position. Then I didn't even know, this article says the DA that made the charging decision and was originally on the case stepped down. And now the two new prosecutors that were appointed have apparently let it leak that they are dropping all criminal charges against Alec Baldwin. Now, am I surprised? Am I not surprised? I would say if I was going to guess what I thought the outcome would be is Alec Baldwin pleading to some misdemeanor with no jail time and a slap on the wrist. That's what I would have guessed the outcome was going to be. So to get here, I would say that they had absolutely nothing and no way to actually convict him. People saying somebody was paid off or whatever, sure, that could have happened. But I do not think the DA would have walked away with their tail between their legs if they could have convicted him. Ciao. Glad you asked. As of right now, no announcement that they are dropping the charges against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armor. Somebody said, what about the civil case? They've already settled that case with Helena Hutchins' husband and son. All of that and more is in this article that we're going to talk about here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know more about this case, we've done multiple videos. You should check them out. But I'm going to put this article up here because it kind of goes through an interesting timeline of some embarrassing missteps of the DA. Less than 2 weeks before a mini trial, I think that's the preliminary hearing they're talking about, is scheduled to begin in New Mexico over the 2021 killing of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins. All charges are going to be dropped against Alec Baldwin for now. So will they be dismissed without prejudice? That's a question I have. And if they're dismissed without prejudice, that means they could refile them later. If they're dismissed with prejudice, that means it's over and they're not bringing charges against him. Recently appointed special prosecutors are expected to be filing paperwork soon, perhaps even today, to dismiss the involuntary manslaughter claims against the multi-Emmy winning actor without prejudice. There it is. There's the answer. So they're filing it without prejudice, which means they can refile these charges. So maybe it's not over. Maybe they're going to charge him with something lesser. We hear that means they are set to investigate further into what actually went down that terrible day on the Bonanza Creek Ranch set near Santa Fe. This case could be resurrected in the future. They are right. But here's what's interesting about that. And I just skimmed this article, obviously, because we were doing another video when the news broke. So we're here just breaking it down on the fly. But to me, I would be surprised now, and it would look very weird if they still brought further charges. Because, like I said, this happened in October of 2021. They investigated this case for over a year before bringing formal charges. So what's going to change now? They dismiss without prejudice. What are they going to do? Now, like I said, maybe it'll be some other lesser misdemeanor. Maybe he'll plead to it. I don't know. But at this point, and Baldwin's attorneys are taking a victory lap. Here's what they had to say. We are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin, and we encourage a proper investigation into the facts and circumstances of this tragic accident, said his attorneys. Representatives from the DA had no comment. Well, they've had lots of comments throughout this, and it has not gone well for them. As of now, Baldwin's co-defendant, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, still has charges standing against her, thereby keeping the probe open and retaining subpoena power for prosecutors going forward. Both Reed and Baldwin had previously pled not guilty. He did an interview. FBI, we know the FBI experts disagree with how Baldwin explained how he pulled the trigger and how the gun went off. What has changed? I think that's a fair question. But now they're looking into the firearm, potentially. Was there something done to the gun to create this mishap or something wrong? That could be the focus of a new probe. The latest developments are occurring as production on a resurrected Rust set. In case you didn't know, they're starting back filming. And the proceeds are going to go to Helena Hutchins, at least a part of them. And her husband is now an executive producer on the resurrected movie. Very strange, but that's the world we live in. Originally scheduled to begin early this week. Now it's looking like it's starting tomorrow, though it could shift based on the new developments. The timing of the charges being dropped against Baldwin just before the new production starts is almost uncanny, though we are told it's purely coincidence. Interesting. The looming move by special prosecutors also comes mere days after filing of the witness list for the May 3rd preliminary examination became public. Even with charges against Gutierrez-Reed still active, it looks unlikely that the preliminary examination, aka mini trial, will go ahead as scheduled, especially with prosecutors digging anew into the evidence, context, and circumstances of the onset tragedy. Now, it is potentially a new set of eyes. New prosecutors coming on the case. Maybe they're looking at it from a different angle. Maybe they're saying this person might be liable or Alec Baldwin didn't do anything wrong. That's possible. Because the main people that did the initial press conferences, they've all stepped down at this point. More than a year after Helena Hutchins died on the Rust set, Baldwin and co-defendant Gutierrez-Reed were charged in late January with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, along with a 5-year mandatory firearm enhancement that was later cast aside as unconstitutional. Embarrassing. Those charges carried a maximum of 18 months behind bars and $5,000 in fines if the jury delivered a guilty verdict. At the time, officials in the land of enchantment made a plea deal with Halls, who was sentenced to 6 months of unsupervised probation. In the past weeks, Baldwin had received approval from Judge Mary Marlowe to be absent from the preliminary examination and mini trial on the involuntary manslaughter claims against him. Still, in a sign of just how fast events were moving this week, the state released a 35-person witness list for the mini trial, where Judge Summer would determine if there is enough evidence to go to a full trial. So maybe did they think there wasn't enough evidence that they were going to lose the preliminary hearing? Who knows? Again, there are timelines of when the preliminary hearing has to happen. So maybe they felt like they didn't have enough evidence, so they had to pause, dismiss the charges without prejudice, and maybe they're going to refile them. Maybe once they get more evidence and they can actually prepare for the preliminary hearing in time. Because again, these are new prosecutors on the case. Are we jumping the gun and saying that this is all gone? Well, Baldwin's lawyers have come out and said, case dismissed. The list, where was I? Right near the top of the list is the director and co-creator Sousa. The list also includes Rust script supervisor, Mamie Mitchell, who is suing Baldwin and his fellow producers in one of the many civil suits against them still in LA Superior Court and New Mexico. Armor mentor Seth Kenney and more members of the crew and a ton of cops are all on the witness list. The sudden turn of events now for the Rust star and producer Baldwin follows Santa Fe District Attorney Mary Carmack Altweiss stepping down from the case last month, and the duo of veteran New Mexico attorneys being put in charge. Again, both people that did the initial interviews, both people that pounded their chest about these charges and about them being confident they're going to get a conviction, dropped off the case and charges dropped. Because it's without prejudice, this story is not over. While rare, that decision by the besieged DA looked almost inevitable over the past few weeks. Almost from the jump, after Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed were formally charged, the DA hit several self-created potholes, including a lost February 24th attempt to block Gutierrez-Reed's request to possess a gun from her in her home for self-defense. More embarrassingly for the DA, there was also a drop of the firearms enhancement, which we talked about. Then, almost certain to lose an attempt to be co-counsel on the case with special prosecutor, Carmack Altweiss finally removed herself from the case altogether on March 29th. At the same time, the DA brought well-respected New Mexico lawyers Morrissey and Lewis on board as special prosecutors. As the state of New Mexico pondered bringing charges against Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed, the Hutchins estate settled its wrongful death lawsuit, and they settled Rust Movie Productions LLC and Baldwin back in October of 2022, about a year after the death. As part of the deal, Matthew Hutchins is an executive producer on Rust. And here's his quote: "I have no interest in engaging in recriminations or attribution of blame to the producers or Mr. Baldwin. All of us believe Helena's death was a terrible accident. I'm grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to Helena's final work." It's a wild ride. It is a wild ride. And this is why we like to talk. Peter beat most national breaking news. I'm not breaking news, but my buddy sent this to me. I figured we'd talk about it. Noah, welcome to the membership crew. And, we had the other live plan. We did it. This is wild to me. And it's only wild because of how the DA and special prosecutor pounded their chest about filing these charges and being confident that they were going to win. They were going to convict Alec Baldwin of this. And some people are upset about that. They think he should face the consequences. And laws are not the same for the rich and the famous and powerful. The Alec Murdochs of the world and Alec Baldwins of the world. You guys tell me, because it's really interesting to me. This was not a slam dunk case. I think they could have won based on how I read the statute and based on what I think I know about the case. But of course, we haven't seen all of the evidence. I think this could have gone either way, frankly, to be fair. I really think this could have gone either way. But I think they had enough to charge him. I think it was fair to charge him. I'm just so shocked that they waited a year, made the decision to charge him, pounded their chest in a press conference, which DAs do not have to do. And then now, just months into it, they've dropped the enhancement, which was improper, totally improper. They should have never brought that. And now they're dismissing these charges. Now, I don't think it's all Alec Baldwin's fault. I don't think he did anything intentional. It was a negligent crime. I think other people were negligent. Absolutely. So I don't want anybody going there, regardless of what you think about Alec Baldwin. But I think it was possible based on what duties they could have brought with experts to show what does the final person holding the gun before they touch it, pull the trigger, point it at somebody, what is their duty? And did he breach that duty and did it cause the damages? So I'd love to hear what you all think in the comments. Let me know. Because as it sits right now, so here's some questions I have. Do you think that this is over for Alec Baldwin, that no criminal charges are coming? Or do you think they will bring more criminal charges later? That's a question I have for you. Do you think this is justice? That he didn't do anything wrong, it was an accident, and the criminal charges were an overreach, a political move, whatever. So do you think this is justice? Or do you think this is money talking? Somebody that's, rich and powerful, getting a different justice system than the rest of the world? So I see a lot of people asking about the civil lawsuits. Alec Baldwin and Helena Hutchins' family and her estate, that lawsuit is settled. There are a bunch of other civil lawsuits happening right now. Everybody's suing everybody at this point for different types of civil charges. A lot of people saying money talking, not justice, no justice. Money talking and political. Yes and no. My kid's personal Uber driver, I like that one. Yes and no. Yeah, they did get a plea deal from Assistant Director Hall. So, theoretically, they're holding at least somebody accountable. And the charges are still pending against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. So, frankly, I think that it's possible the DA did further digging and felt like Baldwin was not culpable and that the culpable parties maybe were Halls and Gutierrez-Reed. And if that's the truth, then they did the right thing by dropping the charges. If it is money talking, that's horrible and that's not justice. Yeah, I do think about also, and this is what frustrates me, right? This is what always frustrates me when I think prosecutors overreach and do things that they shouldn't when they should be seeking justice, which may or may not be the case here. But I'll tell you, they charge cases they shouldn't all the time. They drop cases that they should have never charged all the time. And think about the wasted money, taxpayer dollars. And to me, there should be some kind of remedy for that. Because if I go and I lose, I'm losing my own money. Clients don't pay me out of pocket most of the time. It's contingency, but I'm losing my own time and money. And I'm losing the case for them. I have to answer to my client. If it is a money paying client and I go lose, I have wasted the money they have paid me, right? Now, a lot of times you talk about that. There are risks, whatever. But a lot of times I think prosecutors make certain rash decisions because what are the repercussions? They didn't lose any money. They worked. They got paid for their work. They'll move on to the next case. What are the repercussions? They asked for more money knowing this was going to be a fight against top-notch, high-priced, great lawyers. They knew it because they said it when they asked their state for more money to prosecute this crime. They spent it by getting a special prosecutor who then they let go. They wasted it by having multiple lawyers do investigations for months and months and months just to have them both step off the case and bring two new special appointed prosecutors that they had to pay and are continuing to pay now against Gutierrez-Reed. That's stuff that frustrates me. Misdemeanor said, as a New Mexico resident, this is very frustrating. I agree, regardless of if he did it or not. If he did do it and they let him walk, that should frustrate you. If he didn't do it and they wasted time and money for political or clout or whatever, any other reason, really, really frustrating. Right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. And that's my thought on a lot of these things, why prosecutors need to do the right thing. They should answer to the people. They should seek justice. They should only file charges they're sure of. I don't know. But I'm really interested to go back and read the comments later and read through the chat later to hear what you all thought about this. Paul Printed Heart. If he wasn't a movie star, he would be sitting in jail like the rest of us. Hannah is going to take the brunt of this. Why not the ammo company? I think they were looking for the big fish. And Hannah is not some nobody. Like, her dad's kind of a big shot in Hollywood, I believe, as well. But I think that's a fair outlook. And we don't have all the behind the scenes knowledge. We don't know exactly what happened. And we don't know all that the DA has and that they know, but they had it. They had a year to do this investigation. So it is a bit frustrating to me, but we'll see. And again, like I said, I can't wait to go back and read through all your comments to hear what you thought. Thank you so much, Azam. I've got to take off now. A surprise video, a double header. Thank you to everybody that joined. Hit that like button on the way out. And please let me know what you think. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tragos Law is our handle. And don't forget to listen to the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know.